What's good, YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about Starfield in 2025. Starfield was the game I was most hyped for in 2023. It was arguably the game I was most hyped for this new decade as well as 2020s. And it's kind of hard for me to judge exactly how Starfield went, if it was a disappointment or if I was happy with the way the game came out. I have over 200 hours in Starfield. There were a lot of moments that I did enjoy in Starfield, but then again, the feedback and a lot of what the general public say, I can understand exactly where it is that they are coming from. There are a lot of great things about Starfield, but then there's also a lot of things that are not so good. I like to describe Starfield as way too many toys but not enough space in the playground. When I say that, I mean Starfield has absolutely everything that you would want, but there just aren't enough places in the game for you to use all of them. We'll take the gear for example. Starfield armor, weapons, I thought they were genuinely impressive. The variety, the different types of weapons you can get, the melee weapons, I thought they were all amazing. Just taking a look at them. Aesthetically, they're beautiful. Even the stats, some of the perks that they have. Combat-wise, the game is very promising. There's a lot of variety, just like any Bethesda game at all. You look at Fallout New Vegas, you look at Fallout 3, you look at Skyrim. There's a lot for you to choose there. But I just do believe with Starfield, the thing that made the game lack is, like I mentioned before, it's like you have a ton of toys, but the playground isn't big enough. The fun missions of Starfield are very, very fun. Starfield has amazing highs, but there's just not enough of those highs. Also, I've played New Game Plus 6 times, I believe, and in those 6 playthroughs of New Game Plus, I've put over 200 hours into the game. I found myself going back to the missions that I found to be extremely fun, just because I wanted to use a lot of the new gear that I've gotten. I enjoy the combat of Starfield. I enjoy it big time. I think the combat is very, very cool, especially when you go into the Unity and you start to build up your character. You get more powers, you make yourself more powerful, level up the powers. I think the variety in the powers is absolutely amazing in the combat. I do love the combat of Starfield. That's one thing I can say. It's just a thing of like, I often find myself searching areas to use that, and then there's times when I'm just like, let me just go through the Unity, just because of the fact that I know there'll be a lot more waiting for me on the other side, but it's just me doing stuff that I've already done. This game has a massive, massive world. There's a ton of planets. I really shouldn't be struggling to get out there and find things to do in the game. Don't get me wrong, the game does give you a bunch of quests. It gives you so many quests in the activities tab for you to do, but a lot of those quests are boring. It's just a matter of bring this to this place, quest is done. Go talk to this person, quest is done. There isn't too much. I do understand when you do give a ton of quests, like a lot, you can't heavily detail every single quest. Starfield is the biggest game world that Bethesda have ever done. It is bigger than Skyrim, it is bigger than Fallout, bigger than all of them. Now, in me saying that you can't heavily detail all the quests, somebody can come back to me, and I also wouldn't be disappointed if they said this. How have Skyrim done it? The Skyrim that came out in 2011, how have they done it? Skyrim has a ton of quests. Some of them are heavily detailed, some of them are not. Why couldn't Starfield have done the same? Now, I will say, Starfield does get a lot of things right, and when they do get those things right, absolutely brilliant with it. We'll take the faction quest for example. The UC faction quest, the Crimson Fleet faction quest, some of the most amazing quest lines that Bethesda have done in general. Those are Fallout and Skyrim tier quests. It's just a thing that there aren't enough of those. Like, those separate themselves massively from a lot of the quests in the game. You look at a game like Skyrim, you look at Fallout, they don't have that. I know Fallout New Vegas is an Obsidian game, but the Fallout New Vegas DLCs, they're absolutely amazing, but you can get an insane amount of joy just from playing the vanilla game. It doesn't feel like there's a certain section in the game or certain missions that stand out compared to others. That doesn't exist in Fallout and in Skyrim. In Starfield, that does exist. And then if we even talk about the DLC, I was disappointed to an extent with Shattered Space. I thought the idea was cool. Going to Varun Kai, we learn a lot about House of Varun. It was always a question about House of Varun in the game. We go out, we learn about them. The weapons were cool. I believe the The armor was cool. There wasn't too much armor, but it was cool. The game world itself was very cool. But once you beat the main story on Varun Kai, that's it. There really isn't anything else. I mean, there's a couple of side quests, but they suck. Not enough diversity to them. There just aren't enough things to do in it. Now, when you look at things like the combat in Starfield, like I mentioned, I do believe the combat is very, very cool. I do believe the powers are very, very cool. Leveling up your Starborn character, I think that's one of the coolest concepts in the game. I think everyone who's played Starfield remembers the very first encounter with the Hunter and how you thought he was the coolest thing ever, or the most powerful thing ever. And now the fact that you get to level up your character to the point where you can almost be like the Hunter, jumping through the Unity can be, to an extent, a bit exhausting because you're constantly just doing the same thing over and over again. So when the Hunter comes back to you and you understand his motives, you can in a sense understand his motives. He's done everything like a million times, so of course he's gonna get bored and have less regard from the characters of World 2 compared to the characters of World 7. So yeah, I do enjoy that concept of Starfield massively. Leveling up your Starborn character, making yourself more powerful. I do enjoy that massively, massively. And it's a thing that I really do like the powers. I think they're very, very cool. I think going invisible is cool. I think slowing down time is cool. I think knocking people over with gravity wave is cool. I think all those things are amazing. It's just a thing that I don't have enough places to use them. I find myself using those most in the faction quests, the quests that I've already done when I jump through the Unity. Now I do know that there's a ton of quests in Starfield. I haven't done all of them. I have 200 hours in the game. I've done an insane amount of quests to the point where I kind of know where to find the best ones. The DLC, when you drop a DLC, you really do need to give us content to play. You don't give us one planet and then make everything in the main story mission of that DLC, and once you're done the main story of the DLC, that's it, you're done. We'll give you a couple of side quests where you barely do anything, and that's it. I do like how it tied to Andreja a little bit. I kind of gave Andreja a little side quest. Some of the dialogue was changed a bit if you bring her along, so I do think that's cool. That's one thing that people questioned before it came out. But yeah, that's all we do have. You know, we really don't have anything else that's crazy, considering we also waited a long time for the DLC to come out. In terms of how Bethesda can help the game, I think they need to look at what people are doing on mods, look at what people are doing on creations, and add that to the game without charging us for it. They can add a big DLC. There are rumors that a Starborn DLC is coming out. I think that would be extremely cool if we could learn more about the Starborns. This DLC needs to be big. It needs to be way bigger than Shattered Space. People are paying $30 to $40 or euros, whatever it is, for these DLCs. We need them to feel massive, especially in a game that's supposed to be massive. We have way too many planets. Use them. And now I'm going to talk about the biggest miss with Starfield since launch. Alien civilization. Why don't we have planets that aliens live in? They can speak to us. They actually have some form of order. You have a world where you've created a ton of planets and none of them have aliens in them. You just find other humans. I do understand you can find monsters and they just be walking around and stuff. Why don't we have aliens that have their own language, have their own cities, make them extremely complex in ways that we don't understand? Don't just make these monsters that we can study, learn about them, and that's it. There's no quests involved in them other than the Terramorphs, which is, once again, tied to a faction quest line. We need to do more with this game. One thing that is very cool about Starfield are ships. I think the ships are very cool. Cool addition to the game. We don't really have massive Bethesda RPGs where you can get vehicles and customize them. So the fact that the vehicles that we can get in this game are spaceships, I think are very cool. And the fact that they let us build spaceship from the ground up, I think that's absolutely amazing also. Shipbuilding is very cool. The fact that you can just be extremely complex, extremely versatile with your ships. You can create you can make whatever you want as crazy as you want. I saw on release week, people were making ships that look like a bus. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, getting your own ship, spending your money on ships, I think that's a very cool addition. Ship combat is also something that I find very cool. You certainly do feel like you are the captain of a big ship, especially with the watchtower kind of mod thing that they added. The fact that you can now get a fleet, I think that's also very cool. You can have more than one person fighting with you, because most ship fights you only have yourself. With watchtower, but you can have more than one person with you, which I think is cool. You can command them. You do feel like a ship captain. So I do think that Bethesda knocked it out of the park with that one. But in terms of just getting this game fixed, in terms of where Starfield lies in 2025, there are things that can be done to help this game. DLCs do need to be better. We do need to get a massive overhaul of quests. A massive overhaul. Bring us a free update with a ton of new quests and make these quests good. I don't mind if it's a thing that they take their time to do this, because they are kind of having a hiatus with Starfield. I really do hope they're planning and bringing something out to us that we really would enjoy. And it's not just purely DLC content that they're focusing on. Now, this isn't me bashing Starfield. I've said a lot of bad things about it. I can also say a lot of good things about Starfield. After all, I do have 200 hours into the game. I also do believe that we might be playing the game not as intended. And when I say that, people might think I sound silly, but hear me out. Starfield is a massive game. They want us to immerse ourselves into the world different compared to the Elder Scrolls and compared to Fallout. Fallout and the Elder Scrolls are set on one map, one world. Starfield is set in multiple. You can get out there, you can find aliens, you can learn about them, you can learn about the habitat, you can learn about absolutely everything. I think Bethesda want us to do that. I think there are moments where they want us to take the game slow. They want us to immerse ourselves into this world where there's no humans, just the aliens. Learn about them. They want us to mine for materials. Bethesda want us to do all the slow stuff. Spend a lot of time on them that we wouldn't do in the likes of Fallout and in the likes of Skyrim. I believe they want us to spend a lot of time on that. You can go to different planets and you can literally build on whatever planet you want. I do believe they want us to do things like that as well. I've gone ahead and built on a couple of planets throughout my 200 hours that I've played. And in a sense, they've been enjoyable. I wasted a lot of time doing it. A lot of time's gone past while I'm doing it. And I do think they just want us to embrace things like that. Whereas we all just look to quests, we look to combat. That's what we mainly look at Starfield, quests and combat. Where we should be looking at things like slowing the game down, learning more about these planets, learning about the aliens, studying them, really getting into the lore heavily. There's a YouTuber called Oxhorn. I'm pretty sure every Bethesda fan knows Oxhorn. Oxhorn is a YouTuber who goes deep into the lore of these games, deep into the lore of Fallout, deep into the lore of Skyrim. I do believe that's how Bethesda wanted us to play Starfield. They wanted us to learn absolutely everything about every place that we do visit. There is a mission when you go on Earth during the main story, and it forces us to know what happened to Earth. That's a main story mission. I do believe Bethesda wanted us to play a lot of the missions in Starfield the exact same way that we play that mission. It's not a bad thing necessarily. It really just does depend what you're looking for in this game. I immerse myself massively into the world, so I play Starfield that way. I do learn about the planets. I do a lot of boring stuff. I roleplay a lot. I talk to random characters, see what I can get, and I kind of do treat my player as some form of bounty hunter at this point in the game. I mean, I'm in my 6th New Game Plus, so at this point, my character is just a character who accepts odd jobs. He gets out there, gets shit done, gets paid, and I'm gone. That's how I'm treating my character right now. My character in World 1 compared to my character in World 6, very, very different the way he is and the way he behaves. I am upgrading my powers, so I also do enjoy using those powers and feeling like I'm extremely powerful. You do, in a sense, feel like the Hunter. The Hunter is a very, very powerful being. Even the Emissary. Now, I do play Starfield on the hardest difficulty that you can. I'm level 87, and I'm gonna be so honest, combat is easy. Now, I am level 87, and I've played on this world for quite a while, so I do have some strong weapons. The most challenging moment of combat in Starfield for me is when you're fighting the Hunter or the Emissary on the ships right before the final mission when you go into New Game Plus, and when you're battling through all the Starborn Guardians to try and get to the finale where you fight the boss. That's the hardest moment of combat in the game for me. Other than that, every enemy is easy. I'm knocking down all these enemies very, very fast. Of course, I've leveled up my dude and he's stronger, but we do need things in the game to challenge us absolutely massively. Even Terramorphs. When I saw Terramorphs for the first time, I got challenged. Terramorphs were scary. Now, I just don't feel that threat from Terramorphs anymore. Starfield does need a massive overhaul. I hope Bethesda know that it does, and I hope that this is a game that they plan to update for a long, long, long time. because there are a lot of things you can do with this game. It is a massive game. You have way too many planets. You have way too many creative things that you can do. It's a game about space. You can add aliens to this. You can add an alien DLC. Do you know how crazy an alien DLC would go? There are way too many things they can do with this game. They just need to actually break it down, think about it, and just think about the wackiest things you can add to this. So overall, how do I think Starfield is looking in 2025? Is it worth it? Honestly, I think Starfield is worth it in 2025. It's not a bad game. It's genuinely not a bad game. There are a ton of things for you to do in Starfield. Not too many, but there are a lot of things for you to do. Once you get those things done, it's just a thing of you're left wanting more. I do believe Bethesda will update the game. They'll bring a lot of things. That's what I'm saying with Starfield. The highs are amazing, absolutely amazing, but there aren't enough of those highs, especially in a world like this. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to check out the description to get my Twitch and my Discord. And yeah, have a good day. Peace.